Luffy and Koby have a very interesting relationship. Canonically, they've spent exceedingly little time together. Luffy is the one that was responsible for freeing Koby from the control of the Alvida pirates. On face value, they're nothing alike at all. But if you look closer at them, Oda designed these characters as mirror reflections of the life the other should have received. Both arise somewhat out of orphandom. Luffy wasn't raised by his father or mother, and Koby's family has never been mentioned, nor did he endeavor to return to them once freed from Alvida. Luffy's father was a revolutionary, but he sincerely didn't know that he existed, so he never understood that life as a legitimate path for himself. But what he did have was a grandfather. Vice Admiral Garp was his grandfather, and from as early as he could want for Luffy, desired him to be a Marine like him. However, Luffy takes the scene with a strong desire to be a pirate, a desire that was both unprecedented and illogical. Garp made his career out of defeating pirates and aimed to raise his grandson as the Marine that his son never became, guiding him, training him, and nurturing Luffy's growth until he became the hero that Garp was to the Navy. Yet rejecting that path, the mantle of Marine hero fell to Koby. Koby was the same orphan-like character who took Luffy's place under Garp, training and learning to become the best the Marines could offer. And while Luffy was completely resistant to spending any portion of his life as a Marine, Koby was overeager to find himself a steward of that journey. But what's also interesting is that the pirate that Luffy desired to be was essentially who Koby was when the audience first meets him. Koby was a cabin boy for the Alvida pirates, but loathed his life and his captivity with Alvida. Koby, for all intents and purposes, should have been a pirate, although how he became a captive of Alvida was inadvertent. Most of the relationships to the pathways that cause characters in One Piece to become pirates are. Koby very well could have enjoyed that life, and could have then sought to be a great pirate in his own right. In fact, this was the very thing that Luffy desired from the Red Hair Pirates and Shanks, but was never given the chance. Now, the fact that Koby could become a Marine and a protege of Garp, like any Marine could, betrays just how Luffy-like he truly is. Sure, he starts out weak and worrisome, but what he and Luffy shared from the very start was their conviction. Luffy wanted to be a pirate from before we even know his mind or his character, and the same could be said about Koby. It's possible that his enslavement to the Alvida pirates inspired his desire to be a Marine, but the way that he talks about being a Marine in the canon suggests that this was a desire that he had irrespective of whether or not he was a captive of Alvida. Once they find their paths, they both train relentlessly. Luffy under his own flag and desire, and Koby with the constant nurturing, albeit tough love of Garp and the Marines. The only difference being is that Luffy's journey was a free journey, full of trials that he didn't know he could win, but had conviction enough to face them. It was a path of inconsistent growth that he made for himself every day. Koby, on the other hand, had a very regimented path of very intentional growth, in which he could see right in front of him the heights he needed to climb and how to get there. He only needed to commit himself to following the path. Character-wise, they're also very similar in that beyond their conviction, they have worries. Koby was introduced as a worrywart who doesn't internalize his own strength. He understands that everything he has, he had to work for, and every time he's faced with an adversary, he acknowledges their strength. Just like the mountain in front of him to become a Marine officer, he always musters the courage to defeat his opponent anyway. Luffy, on the other hand, is the leader of his own fate, and must show both courage and conviction at all times as a pirate captain. His journey isn't to be worthy of a title, he already has it. His job is to increase his own legacy, such that any and all other pirates and captains should be beneath him. He cannot know what that means, or see the peak of that mountain, so he has to constantly seek greater heights. Yet because of this, Luffy's greatest fear is not being strong enough and letting everything he has built slip through his hands. Both journeys aren't easy. In fact, they're very difficult. But they pose two very different problems. This is why Koby isn't quite a foil for Luffy. He is his doppelganger. Koby parallels Luffy's journey by inhabiting the life that he should have had. And the same goes for Luffy. Luffy taking the route of the unlawful good, and Koby choosing the path of the lawful good. Luffy was born into a life and lineage that Koby would have loved to be in. And Koby fell into a path that Luffy always wished for, both seeking the heights that they never could have dreamed of or even imagined for the other at first. But that is why their very fleeting interactions made them such good friends. Seeing someone with the same soul as yours is electrifying. And even though you can see your paths are different, you know well enough to keep your eyes on them, because once you meet someone with the same heart as you never truly separate.